UFC Denver. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video as well. And also note, full card fight companion going down Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be back in studio. I'm getting back from vacation on Tuesday. So don't worry, the daily live streams and content coming at you guys once again. Let's get into the picks. Starting the card off, we have interesting middleweight fight, Josh Fremd and Andre Petroski. Not really interesting because they have any chance of challenging for titles, but it's kind of a weird style fight. I think Fremd wins a weird decision. Petroski's striking, though he's got power, it's not good. Fremd has better kickboxing than him, and he's also big at 6'4" with a 76-inch reach. I think he can be tough for Petroski to deal with simply because of his size. But in all actuality, Petroski does have better wrestling, probably better jiu-jitsu. But Fremd isn't a bum on the ground. I know it's easy to write him off because of that submission loss to Tracy, who's pretty bad. But I'm not going to write him off here against Petroski, who's dropped 2 in a row. He's kind of looked sloppy each time out. I think he could have been down 3 in a row. The Meerschaert decision was close. I kind of feel like it's going to look similar to the Meerschaert fight. Weird matchup. I think Fremd wins somehow. I don't like him as a bet at all. I think it'd be a stupid bet, to be honest. Looking at Fremd minus 120, Petroski plus 100. If you told me Fremd was plus 200, I'd say he's a fun underdog to throw down because he could hit. But you're talking about even line where Fremd is slightly the favorite. That doesn't really make sense to me. Petroski's got some okay wins. Neither guy is very impressive at middleweight. Neither guy's breaking into the top 15. I think you have a low-quality bet if you're looking to throw down on either side. Probably going over 1.5 at minus 185, even though Petroski does got some good strangles, and obviously Tracy strangled Fremd. Could it happen? Maybe. I don't love the chances of it. I think Fremd can stop some of the takedowns and then do better in the striking because I really think Petroski's boxing is bad. He hits hard, but like he can't hit you. His accuracy is pretty shite. I'm going Fremd to win. Picking him, I'll say sloppy decision, 29-28, maybe even a split. Next fight on the card, Montel Jackson versus Blackshear. I have a feeling Blackshear is pulling off a decision upset. Blackshear's pretty nasty on the ground. If you guys remember, he had that twister win some fights back. What was that, against Jose Johnson almost a year ago? And then he lost to Mario Batista in the next fight, and it was, what, a week later? I honestly thought he could have got that decision against Mario Batista, too. Blackshear's solid. Montel Jackson has a bit of steam running on him right now because he's got like an impressive 4-fight win streak. But like when you dig into who he's beating up, yeah, he's knocking out Hani Yahya, but Yahya's no striker at all. And he's beating Julio Arce, who's a kickboxer. That's a decent win for a wrestler like Jackson, who kind of strike too. JP Bay's decision, not impressive. JC Strader knockout, not impressive. Blackshear is good on the ground, and he's pretty quality in the stand-up. And another thing I like about him is he's only 29. And I feel like we haven't really seen Blackshear's true level yet. He was starting to show it against Batista on a week's notice and nearly won the fight. I got to pick him here against Montel Jackson. I think Blackshear is a very live underdog. He's quality in the striking. He's quality in the grappling. And I think he poses a threat to Montel. If you look at Montel's losses, it's against guys that can wrestle too. Guys that can grapple too. Lost to Brett Johns a while back. Brett Johns fell off bad, but that's besides the point. Lost to Ricky Simone early on. I think that Blackshear can get a win over Montel Jackson. And I think he's one of the more underrated guys at 135. Jackson's the favorite, around minus 150. We got Blackshear at plus 125. I think Blackshear, decision win. I mean, he could lock up a sub just by, how tricky his jiu-jitsu is, but I feel like Montel Jackson's defense is pretty sound. I would say Jackson's got quicker hands, though. I mean, the nickname Quick, you better have fast hands. But I don't see him knocking out Blackshear. I think Blackshear can strike with him fine. I think if they go to the ground, Blackshear's got better jiu-jitsu than him. And I think Blackshear is going to pull off an upset. I'm going Blackshear for the win by decision. I like him a lot as an underdog this week. Next fight on the card, Luana Santos, Mariya Agapova. You got to go Luana Santos. I feel like Mariya Agapova, she hasn't fought in 2 years? Robertson loss is not bad, but it's 2 years. Marina Moroz loss, not bad, but it's 2.5 years. Win over Sabina Mazo is, I don't want to say meaningless, but it doesn't mean a lot. Shayna Dobson loss is terrible. Hannah Cipher's win means nothing. I think that Luana Santos is going to be hard for Agapova to stop takedowns, right? Because I think that Luana Santos has good physicality. She uses her strength in the clinch well. Decent throws. I mean, she was able to do well against Stephanie Egger, who has pretty good jiu-jitsu and submission skills for the most part. She's got wins in the UFC. What are we looking at? How many wins in a row in the UFC? Just 2 wins in a row. The Juliana Miller fight. Miller looked terrible. And then beating Stephanie Egger is not a bad win, though. Egger's a decent journeywoman. I think Luana Santos has a physicality edge, but I'll tell you, she's sloppy, though. Her punching is bad. At times, her punching looks horrible. And I feel like in this fight here, though, Agapova's a little flawed, too. She's fun. I like Agapova's personality, but I'm not going to pick her because she's got a good upbeat vibe, you know? I think Luana Santos is going to outmuscle her on the ground, take her down, control her. Seeing Agapova's habit of losing by finish, I'm going to pick Santos by submission in this fight. So I'm going with her. She's a bit of a favorite, minus 300 as expected. I know Agapova was like essentially homeless leading into this fight. Agapova plus 250. Over 1.5 at minus 200? Probably. I feel like Luana Santos pulls off a sub in the second or third round. I don't think she goes out, blitzes Agapova early. If they're striking, Agapova has opportunities to land. But when they go to the floor, Luana Santos is going to have such a positional control edge and also a submission threat throughout the whole fight. So I think you got to go Luana Santos to win. I'm going to say win via submission here against Agapova. Interesting fight. I'm glad Agapova's back. I hope she gets a good paycheck. I hope this fight doesn't suck. I mean, Luana Santos' smothering style, we could be sleeping for 3 rounds. It could be a snoozer. I'm going to pick her, though. Confidence in Luana is decent here. Next fight on the card, we got Jasudavicius versus Fatima Kline. Before I looked into Fatima Kline at all, my brain was like, oh, Jasudavicius taking on a short notice opponent who somehow is a slight favorite against her. But then you look at Fatima Kline and you're like, yo, at 24, to be a double champ in CFFC, Jasudavicius never won the belt in CFFC. She lost to Elise Reed over there. And to look as smooth as she does, and not only the striking and the grappling, both. She's good, man. She's known for the jiu-jitsu, but her striking smooth. She switches stances. She's definitely a better kickboxer than Jasudavicius. Jasudavicius has decent wrestling, which makes it interesting, but with the women's MMA game and Jasudavicius being a grappling-based fighter, and she's also 35, Fatima Kline has a lot of upward potential right now. I think Kline can pull off an upset. Even on short notice. It's upper weight class, which granted she's the 125 champ over at CFFC. She was a double champ. So it's not like it's something she hasn't done before. Not going to be a crazy weight cut. I'm going to go with Fatima Kline to win. I think Kline can pull through. I think Kline can win it by submission potentially, but Jasudavicius I feel like is going to be so reluctant to get put in that like horrible spot where she's getting strangled. If Kline wins by sub, then I'm telling you this girl's like top 5 bound. I don't think she'll win by sub. I think Fatima Kline ends up getting a surprising decision. I guess not surprising, but it's surprising if you never heard of her, which most of you probably haven't, and then she goes out and looks good against Jasudavicius, who's pretty close to the top 15. I think Fatima Kline win is live here, and I'm going to pick her to pull it off, even on short notice, but not into the betting side. Minus 125 for Kline, so she's a favorite over a vet, which is really interesting to see because Jasudavicius is decent. Over is expected at minus 350. It's probably going to happen. Plus 105 for Jasudavicius if you like the dog. I get why people would be tempted for the Jasudavicius dog side, though, because Fatima Kline has not fought anybody to the level of Jasudavicius. And, like, Jasudavicius is kind of impressive, right? Natalia Silva loss is fine. Gabriel Fernandez, Miranda Maverick wins impressive. Tracy Cortez loss is forgivable as hell. Cachoeira win is decent, but it did take her 3 rounds, though. And it was the wrestling that saved her. I think they might strike here, and I think Fatima Kline's the better striker for sure. So I'm going Kline to win. I'm going to say decision as the method of victory, but ultimately Fatima Kline straight down the center to get it done. If you got to throw down in this fight, if you're forced to, Kline should win it. Kline should win it by a decision. Going with her. I'm having faith in the prospect. These up-and-coming prospects been showing out. Vinicius Oliveira, Bernardo Sopa, short notice or not, I think she's ready. Next fight, featured prelim of the night. We got Joshua Van versus Charles Johnson. I'm going with Joshua Van, and I love this matchup because it's a battle of badass striking. We're going to find out because Charles Johnson always wants strikers. You see, he's having to fight off so many grapplers for the most part. He's finally going to get somebody that's going to mix it up with him, but I think this is a hard fight. Joshua Van's boxing is good. He works the body really well. He's got knockout power, which is special at 125 pounds. He's got good combinations. He throws hard. He's a better boxer than Charles Johnson. What Charles Johnson is good at, though, is striking from distance, and he actually has a pretty good ground game. Ultimately, even with losses on the ground, there's some of these better grapplers. Johnson's decent there. I just think Joshua Van is a different breed. He was supposed to be fighting Tagir Ulanbekov. So he was supposed to be getting somebody at top 15 level. And now he's taking on Charles Johnson, who's a really good vet. I would say Charles Johnson is like underrated because of a good amount of losses. But I mean, 2 in a row. Azat Maksam win. He was a big underdog. Beat Jake Hadley, which is a nice win for him there. I just think Joshua Van's got that thing, that special thing. His striking style is smooth. I think they're going to be striking a lot. I think Johnson is going to have a hard time keeping Van off of him for 3 rounds. Joshua Van, comfortable throwing shots from all angles, right? And he's going to be pressing Charles Johnson back. Johnson's going to try to kickbox from distance. I see him getting clobbered by some big shots. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to say Joshua Van ends up knocking Charles Johnson out, but a lot easier said than done. If it goes distance, don't be shocked. Don't throw your life savings on a Van knockout. But he does have the power that could be promising for a KO here against Johnson. He is giving up some height and reach. Obviously, 4 inches for the reach. Or excuse me, 5 inches for the reach, 4 inches for the height. But I think he'll be all right walking Charles Johnson down. Fun stylistic clash, though. Good strikers on both sides. This could end up being fight of the night. Joshua Van, where are the odds at? Minus 170 for him. Sensible line. Plus 145 for Johnson. Over 2.5 is minus 340. Wow, so me calling that knockout is, I guess, crazy according to the books. I don't think a knockout's a lock. I think knockout or decision if you're looking to double prop it. Because how likely is it Van's going to lock up a sub over Johnson? I think not happening. Estevan's got great jiu-jitsu. He didn't tap him out. Mokaev didn't win by submission against him. You see what I'm saying? So Van by knockout or decision as a double prop is not a horrible idea if it gets you, something better than minus 170. Maybe you're at minus 120 for that. Doesn't have it out yet. We don't have the props. But I think Joshua Van's boxing is superior. The kicks of Johnson are good, but Van's going to close the gap and give him trouble on the inside. Multi-shot combos, and he also works to the body nicely, which I like. And I think Joshua Van is going to show out and honestly get the biggest win of his career. Charles Johnson is a good test for him. And especially beating Charles Johnson in a striking fight is super impressive. And that's what I think Van's going to do here. So I'm riding with him. Let's keep running. Next fight brings us to our main card opener. We got Cody Brundage versus Abdul Razak Alhassan. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new, subscribe it up. I'm going Judo Thunder, Abdul Razak Alhassan, because Cody Brundage just doesn't look UFC level for the most part. Like he's 1-1 in his last two. I guess you look at it, he's 2-1 in his last 3. But it was a damn disqualification against Malkoun where he was on his way to getting stopped in the first round. He slammed Zach Reese, which was pretty badass. But, like, come on. I'm not saying it was a fluke. It was badass. I'm not going to shaft it. And then Bo Nickel got him. He gave Bo Nickel an okay fight. Stopped some takedowns. But I don't think he deserves a ton of praise for it. Abdul Razak Alhassan hits hard. He's got the judo base. His takedown defense is not horrible. And even though Cody Brundage might get him down, what is he going to do from there? Unless Abdul Razak has now hit the washed level, which it's 100% possible that Abdul Razak Alhassan is washed at nearly 40. But he should knock Cody Brundage out. He's got the power to hit him hard, rock him. I mean, he went split decision with Buckley, even though he was taken down there. Knocked out Ribeiro. The loss to Joe Pyfer is totally forgivable. I mean, Joe Pyfer is damn good. Cody Brundage is one of the bottom tier guys at middleweight, and I think Abdul Razak Alhassan can punch a hole in his face. I think he can knock him out. I think Brundage is going to try to wrestle. I think he gets caught on the feet, finish with ground and pound, maybe dropped in one big shot. Abdul Razak Alhassan can crack, and I don't think he's washed, and I think he's going to pull through. Minus 150 for him with Brundage at plus 130. I'm expecting a violent fight. I think under 2.5 is better. Under 1.5 is minus 135. I like under 2.5. I think that would be a good play. Not like throw your whole life savings on it, but, it's a decent play. Not lock of the year, but highly likely because I think it's going to be a violent fight. And I'm going to pick Judo Thunder Abdul Razak Alhassan at nearly 40. I think he's going to rock Cody Brundage. Brundage's striking's mid. Brundage's going to have to get this fight to the ground. If he gets him down, I see Alhassan getting it up. Like, I don't look at Brundage as a guy that goes out, grinds out decision, control. He's not like John Fitch in his prime. I think that Abdul Razak Alhassan will bounce up even if he's on the ground. And when they're striking, Alhassan has way more power. He's going to thud him with big shots. And I think he's going to put him out. So Abdul Razak Alhassan with the better power, the better striking, and the takedown defense for the most part to pull through and win. Next fight on the card, we got Christian Rodriguez versus Julian Erosa. I'm going with Christian Rodriguez because Julian Erosa has some of the worst striking defense in MMA. Normally fights with his hands low, and I mean, he's been knocked out in his, 2 out of his last 3. The win over Ricardo Ramos, I don't even want to talk about that. That pissed me off. I like Ricardo Ramos, but he's got the most negative fight IQ in the game. He just gives you submissions. Christian Rodriguez went long against Jonathan Pierce on the UFC debut, which was a really hard fight. He's on a 4-fight win streak right now. Where he's going to struggle is with guys that are going to be pressuring him for takedowns. Julian Erosa and him are going to strike. And Christian Rodriguez has got power. Even though he hasn't shown the knockouts in the UFC, Erosa's deficiencies in the striking are going to leave a lot of opportunities. If you guys know, Julian Erosa was knocked out by Artem on the Ultimate Fighter. I don't even remember the season. It was McGregor and Uriah Faber. Artem Lobov, the legend, laid out Julian Erosa on the feet. And he gave up a lot of reach because I think people might be like, oh, well, Erosa's got 74.5-inch reach. Artem had like a 65-inch reach and was able to close the gap and chin him. I think Christian Rodriguez is closing the gap and knocking him out. I don't care about the height difference. I don't care about the reach difference. Rodriguez finds his way in, and he's going to bang up Julian Erosa with some big shots and put him out. For the most part, when Erosa loses, he gets finished, especially in the UFC. Rodriguez is 2-1 is the favorite, minus 200 there. Erosa plus 170. I think Christian Rodriguez is on his way to getting it done. I think Christian Rodriguez is going to thud him up. I think you're going to see big punches, maybe even some overhand shots to catch Erosa. Those hands are so low. It's something I just absolutely despise about Erosa is the fact he rarely brings his hands up. He likes that slick hands low style, and it just leads him to getting caught, man. And I think Christian Rodriguez is going to find the chin. I like Rodriguez's striking more. I definitely think he's better on the feet. I think on the ground, Rodriguez is fine. He might even have better grappling. I think Erosa might have better submissions, but Rodriguez might have better wrestling. Over 2.5 is minus 180. I'm predicting a finish. I'm going plus 150. I mean, I think it's live. I think Christian Rodriguez hurts Julian Erosa in the striking. I think he rocks him with some big shots on the feet. I think he puts him down, and I think he puts him flat out in the second round. So I'm going Christian Rodriguez. I'm going C-Rod for the win. I'm going KO. I'm going in impressive fashion, too. And I think the hype is really going to start to build. And if Christian Rodriguez can get the weight cut dialed in, I think he's better at 35, but I think he's very live to beat Julian Erosa here at 145. Let's get to the next fight. We got Gabriel Bonfim versus Ange Loosa. I got to go with Gabriel Bonfim. Yes, I'm going with the hype. Yes, I'm going with the 4-1 favorite. But Ange Loosa's tough. Bonfim is notorious for finishes. I mean, look, all his wins are finishes, normally submissions, but he does have good striking. Ange Loosa's durable. He's got a well-rounded game. He went long with Jack Della Maddalena on Contender Series. He's got decent stand-up. He's got decent grappling. He's like the ultimate decently well-rounded guy. Every aspect I would say about Ange Loosa is decent. The one thing he has that is impressive, he's very physically strong. And he's got a decent gas tank, even though he does slow down a little bit later. Bonfim got bullied by Nicholas Dalby and knocked out in the second round. So my hype on Bonfim has dwindled substantially here. But beating an Ange Loosa, I think, is a must. I was going to say it's a lock. It seems like it. It has to be. I think Bonfim's a slicker striker for sure, and I think he has way better jiu-jitsu. It's just nobody's finished Ange Loosa, and Bonfim is still a wild card to me. I think he can win, but he might have to end up securing dominant position and controlling a bit en route to a decision. I'll expect Bonfim, because of his loss to Nicholas Dalby, to be a little bit more conservative with the output. I think he's going to look to win with, maybe a finish when the time comes. Like, he'll shoot for it, but I think he's going to fight a little smarter. I don't think he's going to come at him with the chaos, right? Looking to take people out in the first round like he did earlier on, which it works against some guys. I mean, and it worked in his early UFC wins, right? He went through, destroyed Munir Lazez, destroyed Trevin Giles. But against Ange Loosa, fight smart, and then the win opens up. And the fact that he never's been submitted, yeah, Bonfim could be the guy to do it, but I don't love the chance of it. Bonfim's got a big edge everywhere, though. The only place I would say Ange Loosa's probably got him is physicality. His physical strength is real. He's jacked. But I think Bonfim pulls through. I think Bonfim by decision. I would love to see him go out and win by submission against Ange Loosa, but it's a tall task that nobody's been able to pull off just yet. Minus 400 for Bonfim, Loosa plus 300. I'll say this. If Bonfim goes out and finishes Loosa, I'm like, okay, the hype is kind of coming back. If he goes out and wins a decision, he's still good. He's still got bright future. He's still got good potential. But it's like, okay, maybe him and his brother are similar, where they're going to be decent top 20 guys, maybe not top 5. But he's only 26, so time will tell. We're going to find out. Over 1.5 and minus 160, I'm going to say does happen. It's expected to at the slight, negative cash, a little favorite status. And I think Bonfim's winning by decision, though. I'm going to say decision. Submission could happen. I don't know. I want to see what the prop looks like. If you got plus 150 for win by submission over an Ange Loosa, I just don't think that's juicy enough to even consider DGen betting simply because he's never been tapped before. So we'll go with Bonfim for the win, and I'm going to say he gets his first decision win. Next fight, we got Drew Dober versus Gene Silva in an epic featured bout of the night. I can't wait for this one. I said earlier that the fight of the night might be Johnson versus Van. I think I'm going to take it back. I think this could be fight of the night. I'm going with Gene Silva by knockout, too. Drew Dober hits like a truck. He's a savage southpaw, and Gene Silva is up in weight. He was fighting, granted, he missed weight, but he was fighting at 45, and he fought in the last UFC card. He fought at UFC 303, and he got a nice knockout over Charles Jourdain. I think he's going to knock out Drew Dober. I respect him coming in on short notice and in great shape here, and he's not a small guy for 155 pounds, especially against Drew Dober, who's one of the shorter 55ers. It'd be one thing if Gene Silva was jumping in on short notice to take on a guy who's 6'2". Drew Dober's 5'8". He's got a 1-inch height advantage, 1-inch reach advantage. He's also 35. We've seen him drop numerous times in the past. Got a decent chin for the most part, but let's not forget, Terrence McKinney was busting him up early, and then he ended up getting a nice comeback there. He was knocked out against Frevola, did lose to Money Moicano, but he hurt him in that fight. There's things to like about Drew Dober's striking. He's a badass striker, and he hits really hard. He's got good low kicks, southpaw stance, so it's going to be a very interesting challenge for Gene Silva. But I got faith in Gene Silva. I think his power is real, and I'm going to have some belief in the Fighting Nerds team. I think he's going to go out there and knock Drew Dober out, and I really think Gene Silva then can decide, does he want to drop back down to 45, or does he want to try to make his mark at 155? And there could be good fights on the horizon for him if he goes out and wins this one. I'm going with Gene Silva. I think he lands big shot, puts Drew Dober out. I think he gets a KO. I'm respecting the hands, man. I think Gene Silva's nasty. Looking at the odds for it, minus 110 on both sides. Even money fight, so I think people are going to attack the value of, oh, damn, Drew Dober, longtime UFC vet, and we're getting him at this tag. We're getting him at even money against Gene Silva, who's just 2-0 in the UFC. I think Gene Silva's good, though. Gene Silva's got the power. Dober's taking a good amount of damage. I think Gene Silva's chinning him. I like his punching power a lot. I think he can land a bomb on Drew Dober and flatten him. We've seen Dober beaten up against Frevola a few fights ago. Like I said, the McKinney fight before that. I think Gene Silva's on his way to a knockout. I think he's going to impress. I'm going Gene Silva. I'm going KO, and I'm going Gene Silva top 15 2024, at least in the final half that we're heading into. Next fight, co-main event. I think that Drew Dober could be the co-main event against Gene Silva. But we got OGs. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Muslim Salikhov. It's a good fight, but I think both guys are washed. I'm going to go with Ponzinibbio, though. I think Salikhov is a little slower at this point. Like, he looks more flat-footed than he used to be. Salikhov has good kung fu. He's got really nice kicks, snapping shots. His striking from distance is okay. I think he slowed down a bit. He was really brutally knocked out by Randy Brown 5 months ago, and that kind of dwindled the expectation of him being able to still take a big shot. Granted, both guys, it's like you're playing with fire with this one. I think Ponzinibbio's a little better, though, with the hands, and I think the boxing is going to come in play here a lot. But if you look, lost to Kevin Holland by knockout for Ponzinibbio, and then lost to Randy Brown by knockout for Salikhov. Fight before that, Ponzinibbio beat Alex Morono, but he lost the first 2 rounds. He looked like shit in that fight. Nicholas Dalby lost, which is fair. Andre Fialho knockout, which doesn't mean a ton at this point. Leach chinned him, and then he beat Trinaldo, who's like 47. And then looking at these, Pereira split is not bad. Jeff Neal split, not bad. Win over Baeza doesn't mean a lot anymore because Baeza is completely washed too. I think Ponzinibbio does pull through. I think he could end up getting a KO here against Muslim Salikhov. But you got a battle of guys that are in their twilights of their career. Like, this could easily be the last fight for either one of them. I'm going to say Ponzinibbio turns back the clock just a tad and gets a knockout win over Muslim Salikhov. If you look, in both of their respective primes, Ponzinibbio reached a much higher level in the UFC. Unfortunately, injuries and stuff kept him out of the octagon, so he never really emerged in the upper echelon. But he's pretty good. Minus 185 for Ponzinibbio, plus 160 Salikhov. Over 1.5, minus 220. I expect both these guys to have moments where, like, you look at them and say, damn, they got old. Damn, they look slow. But I think Ponzinibbio lands harder punches. I think Salikhov is going to try to kick him up from the outside. I don't think he'll be super successful with it. He's not going to have the grappling option here. So when it turns into boxing, I think Ponzinibbio lands harder punches. And I question Salikhov's chin a little bit at this point. So we're going with Santiago Ponzinibbio for a knockout win. Battle of the OGs with Salikhov at 40 now. I don't like it. I'm going against the OV in this fight. I'm going with Ponzinibbio. I think the Argentine Dagger's got one big knockout left in him, and I think he's going to give it to Muslim Salikhov. We're going with him. Let's jump to the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez. Cortez stepping in on short notice, and honestly, I'm excited to see the fight. I'm still picking Thug Rose, though. I was almost swayed by Tracy Cortez because I was thinking back to her beating Jasudavicius, but then you watch her get hit with a lot of straights, and I'm like, Thug Rose historically has solid enough takedown defense. She's got great striking from mid-range. She is incredibly quick on her feet. She closes distance really well. I think Thug Rose still has a few good performances left. She's only 32, and I feel like everybody's like, oh, she's washed now. It's game over for Thug Rose. I don't believe that. I think Thug Rose still has some fight left in her, and especially last time out, to beat Amanda Ribas, yeah, it wasn't the most badass win ever, but it was a clean W over Ribas, who was consistently fighting and performing decent. Manon Fiorot, she lost 29-28 on the scorecards there. It was 10 months ago, but she destroyed her finger in that fight and still survived till the end and looked okay. Then 2 years ago, the Esparza fight, and what I think was the worst fight ever, that was a weird one. Granted, that was down at 115. You got to give her a chance. Now she's taking on Tracy Cortez at 125. Cortez has started to come into her own. It seems like the Jasudavicius win was solid, even though I was just kind of talking a little smack about her getting touched up with straights. Still beating Jasudavicius is rather impressive. But what does it mean compared to Thug Rose? Nada. Okay, fight before that. Melissa Gatto win. Gatto's okay. Gatto's all right. Justine Quiche win doesn't mean a lot. Stephanie Egger wins okay, right? Vanessa Mello win. No, it's... These wins are impressive for a prospect. If it was Tracy Cortez fighting somebody that's like right on that turning cusp of top 15, I'm impressed by Cortez's resume. But to now jump up and fight a former world champion, Erosa Namajunas, who just 2 fights ago was essentially in a top contender spot against Manon Fiorot. Erosa Namajunas, who's proven in 5-round fights. Erosa Namajunas coming off a win over the course of 5 rounds against Amanda Ribas. How do I not pick her? I think Erosa Namajunas lands more significant strikes. I think for the most part, she's going to fend off a good amount of Tracy Cortez's takedowns, but I see her on her back a couple times, then working her way up. Cortez will have striking moments, but I think Rose takes 4 rounds, 49-46, maybe 48-47, but I think it's still going to be a Thug Rose win nonetheless. And I think it could be similar to that Amanda Ribas fight. Tracy Cortez is pretty good. She's got 11-1 record, nice role she's got going in the UFC, but I haven't seen any win yet that proves to me she's going to take out the former world champ in Thug Rose. I'm not writing Thug Rose off. She was supposed to fight Macy Barber here. I think that was a really tough fight. And I would like to see that rebooked, even if she goes out and wins here against Tracy Cortez. I think this ends up working better for Erosa Namajunas because it's not the top tier of the contenders. Like, Macy Barber's top 5 in women's flyweight. So Rose goes from, okay, taking on Manon Fiorot, who's, top 3 contender in the weight class. Then taking on Ribas, who's a little farther back, but still elite. And then here, getting Tracy Cortez instead of Miranda Barber. I think this is optimal for her because she gets a fight against someone good, but not elite. Proven as a decent girl in the top 15, but not proven as top 5. And this is going to be good because I think Thug Rose can get some confidence back. I think she goes out and beats Tracy Cortez, and I think she could end up performing better in a rebooked Macy Barber fight with this experience against Cortez, getting another fight at 125, now her 3rd fight at 125, as opposed to if she would have done it in her 3rd fight. I like this better. So I'm going with Thug Rose to win. I think she's getting a decision. The odds for the fight, Thug Rose is a big favorite. -225 for Thug Rose. Tracy Cortez +190. I think the odds are fair because simply we haven't seen Cortez fight anybody elite, like I've been ranting about for this whole main event breakdown. Over 4.5, -280. I'm predicting that we're going distance. I think we're going over 4.5. Yeah, Erosa Namajunas is a bit of a juiced up favorite, but it's no surprise. She should be a bit of a juiced up favorite against a short notice Tracy Cortez who's never fought anybody championship level. So we're going Thug Rose for the win. Those are the UFC Denver picks. I hope you guys enjoyed the On the Road show. Like I said, we'll be back in studio Wednesday. Tuesday, I got a flight coming in late at night, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do a live stream Tuesday, but no promises. We'll be back to the per content, usual schedule Wednesday, and then obviously Fight Companion going down Saturday, so don't miss it. Looking forward to it. See you guys back in studio in the next one. Thank you for watching. Smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the picks. Drop some of your favorite picks down below. Definitely let me know what you disagree with. I want to hear what my people are thinking. If you got nothing to say in the comments, but just enjoy the content as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thanks for watching, guys. See you all in the next one. Peace out.